movements, so the body remains elastic throughout. But they have to keep on doing that.
Yes, because the body would work to go back to its original. So the tendons, ligaments, muscles, everything would go back to being like their normal length and everything. And I'm guessing this is what they had to do too. You know, they had to probably do this every day, or it would become a difficult movement for them to do.
And he was super elastic.
I know, they were, I was just like, the body's not supposed to move like that. You know, that was my thing. It's not supposed to move like that. But it was really cool. So, you know, the knee jerk is a really good example of how these specialized fibers want to pick up information and keep the muscle at its normal length, okay? Because that's what's important. For that muscle to maintain optimum work, it wants to make sure it keeps it at that length.
So like for people that do that, once they stop doing it, like would it have any effect on them later?
Now, I would think that based on fibers that they are stretching to that point, that those fibers, they would recover, but I would also think that there might have been some damage that would have been done, like to either, like if it's the actual muscle fibers, to those actin and myosin, or the little pieces of protein that connect it to the Z discs, okay? Or the collagen fibers or the elastic fibers. I'd imagine some of them could break. And see, some of them don't repair. Some of those don't repair. So I would think that, yeah, there could be some long-lasting effects to it. So one of the things that becomes important about some of these reflexes, especially like for the knee jerk, because the knee jerk is such a pronounced reaction, because you know sometimes you can have people that when you hit that patellar tendon, their foot kicks out very far, okay? It is good for helping diagnose certain disorders. But now you've got to remember, okay, when you're testing reflexes, no matter what reflex you may be testing, okay, because you have like, you know, reflexes of arms that you can test, hands, that sort of thing. You've got to remember, is there any pathology present? What's their age? What's their overall health condition? Okay? But those are things that you'll learn as you go through your clinicals. When we talk about the reflexes that can occur, okay, we do have something called, let's just kind of take this, inhibition. What does inhibition mean?
To stop it.
To stop it. And then the first term.
Reciprocals. To get back the opposite.
Opposite. Opposite inhibition. Remember, I mentioned, you've got a muscle that wants to move in one direction, one that wants to oppose it, okay? And they both want to make sure they oppose at the proper length, all right? And one of the biggest reasons, avoid injury, okay? Avoid injury. So when they are working against each other, they're going to work to make sure that they keep muscles, tendons, ligaments, that they keep them at the length they need to be. Now, in this picture showing the reflex, do you happen to notice anything different? Anything being added to this picture?
Like one more.
Okay, we're seeing another line being added.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
We have multiple like synapses.
We have multiple synapses. Now, the first picture that I showed you was the picture very simplified, and it was monosynaptic. We now have more. This is called polysynaptic. So there's 2 or more synapses. Let's kind of take the picture. I thought it was bright. And we've got a lot of other parts or pieces now. Okay? So let's try to take the picture and see what it's showing us. Okay? Because once again, if we think about this particular reflex, we know now that those muscles have specialized fibers. They're picking up on the length and the speed that the length is occurring, okay? But then I've got other muscles that need to come into play to make sure that original muscle doesn't get stretched too far, that it stops the reflex, blah, blah, blah. It keeps me in posture, all that sort of stuff. So now, let's look at what they're trying to tell us. I've got a stimulus. That stimulus is attached to the patella tendon. Muscle attached to that has the little specialized fibers. The muscle can pick up on it, send the information to the area of the spinal cord, but now it's showing where I'm getting a synapse to my muscles for correction. It's showing where now, like say for example, you're standing up or something different, something that you need to do to maintain posture. So it's showing my original arc that got created that was monosynaptic, but now it's letting me know there are other muscles involved. So if I look at my other muscles involved, I have, hold up, a second synapse. Polysynaptic. And this representation right here, where it's showing this little neuron synapsing to the information to another muscle, is my interneuron, the one that we mentioned a couple slides ago. That's my interneuron, part of the integrating center right here in this gray matter. It's staying completely in the gray matter. That interneuron is not exiting or entering from the white matter. So it is strictly a part of my integrating center. So now I'm seeing that it takes groups of muscles for reflexes to happen. Reflexes do get a little more involved. This time, I'm not sitting down. This time, I'm standing. It's kind of showing, like I said earlier, where I would like to be, somewhere with sand and water and warm air. Okay? Tell me now what you see about all those synapses.
Well, they're going to both legs.
We have synapses occurring on both sides, all right, left and right, because I stepped on something, which means I have to balance to pull away. It's involving more than one side of my body. So I'm seeing that I have multiple synapses, so therefore it's polysynaptic, and we're seeing that it's occurring on the left and the right. And this would be, they term it the withdrawal reflex, because like they're showing, you know, you could be walking along, you could step on something sharp, whatever the case might be, and you've got to make sure that you can pull away from the stimulus that's harmful while at the same time keeping balance for the body.
With the reciprocal inhibition, would that be like just so that your leg doesn't kick up too high, or would that also be that you can like pull up and then stay balanced? Both of them.
It could be both, yeah. Because anytime you have this stimulus occur, depending on what area of the body it occurs, okay, you're going to have muscles that will work to pull away from that stimulus and muscles to stabilize the area. So this is showing us many different types of synapses that are occurring, and we are seeing it on both sides. Do you guys remember, for example, the term contralateral? Do you remember ipsilateral? All that sort of stuff? Okay, this is where you would see terms letting us know that some information could be coming from each side, some information could be staying on one side, okay, but both sides of the spinal cord are now involved. Withdrawal reflex. So at the simplest reflex, it is simply monosynaptic. As we get more involved, especially needing to maintain posture, they get more synapses involved, and it becomes polysynaptic. I think you have a question about that on your study guide or something, I can't remember. So that's the difference. At the most simplest level is monosynaptic. Everything else becomes more involved.
It's the properties.
To show y'all how much having a day off messes me up, I forgot my glasses. Oh, it might be in the lab then. The lab might have poly versus mono, so that helps with that. This down here, where it's the very last question, where it's talking about intersegmental, contralateral, ipsilateral, oh, there it is, polysynaptic, monosynaptic, okay? This is, remember, this will let us know which sides, okay? Because if you think intersegmental, the segment of the spinal cord, okay? If you think of contralateral, this is letting us know sides, okay? Ipsilateral lets us know one side, all right? And then, of course, poly, more than one, mono, just one. So any questions about reflexes are cool. We're going to see that reflexes occur, though, with our smooth muscle and cardiac muscle. And just like I was showing in the muscle itself that had specialized fibers, our tendons do also. Because if we don't want muscle stretching too far, we don't want tendon stretching too far, all right? If you've ever pulled a muscle, pulled a tendon, whatever the case might be, it can actually take a while for the recovery, depending upon how damaged it might be. Okay, so we have all of these little pieces that are found in our muscles, tendons, and so forth, joints of the body that will keep us from hopefully toppling over. Now, in the U.S.,